I am Heather Blair. I am so excited that you're here learning a little bit more about coaching, what a coach does on a day-to-day basis, just a little more about the behind the scenes. It was actually a group just like this that I took the leap of faith 3-ish years ago now and decided to go all in with coaching. And because of that, it has helped transform my life in so many ways. But a little bit more about me first before diving really into this is I started about 2 years before really becoming a coach. I was a challenger, and I like to say I was the world's worst challenger. I started with our 80-day program, and I didn't even make it 2 weeks into it. I wasn't completing my workouts from the start. I was really faking my sweaty selfies because I didn't want to let my then coach down. I didn't want to let the people in the group down or look like a failure, honestly. And because of that, I didn't take this seriously from the start as a challenger. I needed more accountability because of that. And before then, I am somebody who I am from New York originally and now living down in North Carolina. And I took that leap. I moved down here for my then boyfriend, now husband. So thankfully it all worked out. But even when I moved down 10 hours, 500 miles away from everyone, everything that I knew, I was still 3 hours from him, and he was living on the opposite side of the state. I really didn't have anyone down here, and no one talks about how difficult it is to make friends as an adult. So just out of college, I thought all I had was my career, and I really poured everything into that. And I was easily working 70 plus hours a week to no one's fault but my own because I had nothing else. I would go to the office, work 8 to 5, work through lunch most days, come home, continue working because I had nobody else. I had nothing else here except for my work. So I thought that I needed to prove myself. And by doing that, I really kind of set myself up for failure. And that's when I slowly started putting myself on the back burner because I didn't have anything else. And it took my now husband about a year to find a job here, move in. We moved in together, and his job requires him to work nights, to work weekends, and so I was still by myself. I now had somebody living with me, but I still didn't fully have him because on the weekends, he wasn't around. Nights, he wasn't always around. So I continued working myself into the ground, and that's a hard cycle to break once you are used to it, once the people you work for are expecting that out of you now. It's very hard to go backwards in a sense. And so fast forward, I had already failed as a challenger and we were now engaged, planning our wedding, and it should have been one of the happiest times of my life. And it was easily one of the lowest points of my life. I had put myself on the back burner for so many years that now I was trying to juggle a wedding, continuing to work. It was now about 60 hours a week, so it was down a little bit. But if you've planned a wedding, you know it is a lot of work. And add on top of that, we weren't planning a local wedding. It was about 3-ish hours away from where we live. And there was a lot of communication, a lot of back and forth. And I was slowly going down really depression. And we got married and our wedding was amazing, and then we were on our honeymoon and everything was on paper should have been great. I had a career, I now had a happy marriage, we were looking to buy our first house, everything should have been great. I was still at my lowest point, and I had watched my coach for probably about a year during all of this when I was the turmoil of really putting myself last, and I saw how happy she was, and that's what I wanted. I wanted the community that she was surrounding herself with. They had the best bond, and looking in from the outside, I didn't have that. I had now lived here for quite some time, and probably about 5 years, and I still didn't really have that close circle of friends. Again, it's hard making friends as an adult and working that many hours. So I knew in order to start taking back control of my life, I needed to do something that I wasn't comfortable with, and that's coaching. And I needed the coaching aspect. I'd already failed as a challenger. I knew I needed that extra accountability, and that's what coaching has helped me to do because I'm showing up every day on my stories. I'm showing up every day on social media, and that's helping me hold myself accountable. in turn showing others what they are capable of as well. So that's really about how I got started. And the day that I became a coach is honestly the day that's truly changed the trajectory for me. I have been able to take back my life. I'm able to finally feel more confident and comfortable in my own skin. I'm finally putting myself first. And because of that, it's trickled into other areas of my life. I still work that same job, but I've been able to add and create more boundaries around it. And it's because of coaching that's helped really open my eyes to creating those boundaries and what's really important in life. And that has been for me making those connections, finding that community. And because of that, I'm a completely different person. And I think it's easy when we get started on something that we tell ourselves that we don't have the time, right? That we are just not that person who wakes up and works out in the morning. And I told you I was working 70 hours a week when I started this, and you don't have to have hours on end. You can build this business in pockets of time. I still work a full-time job. You just have to be intentional with your time and those daily activities that are going to add up to bigger success later on. And it's easy to tell ourselves that we're not somebody who works out, that we're not somebody who wants to eat healthy, right? Like if you're gonna choose a salad over, I don't know, a gourmet meal, more often than not, we're gonna choose that. But you don't have to have one or the other, right? Creating these sustainable habits are what's gonna help us find that balance and really fulfilling a life that we want to live, because nobody wants to live on restrictions or anything like that. And I am all about indulging in everything, but the narratives that we tell ourselves that we can't do something, that we don't have the time, that, I don't want to be seen as somebody who's annoying or any of that on social media, it's all in our head. It's what we tell ourselves. We often think that things like this are a pyramid scheme, and I honestly didn't know what that meant before getting started. I think it's just a word and a phrase that's thrown around. But at the end of the day, now looking into it and now knowing what it is, pyramid schemes are illegal, right? And Beachbody has been around for over 20 years. It wouldn't still be here if what they were doing was illegal. So the other thing is, what a pyramid is a triangle, right? And at the end of the day, what company is not built like that? You always have my full-time job. I've got a CEO at the top of it, and then we trickle down. The difference is I cannot outrank my superior. I cannot out-earn my superior. And I'm really working right now at a pretty even plateau. My full-time job, there's not a whole lot of room for growth, and I'm well aware of that, but in Beachbody, in coaching, what we put into it is what we get out of it. And I think that it's important to realize that you can outrank me, and I hope that you do, because I want success for all of my girls. You can out-earn me. I can out-earn my coach. There is really no one person at the top. It's more like a web is what I like to call it, because we're all constantly interchanging in it. And that brings me to the point of when people ask, do you really make life-changing money? What does life-changing mean to you? Because what life-changing means to me could mean something completely different. When I got started, my goal was really I wanted to be able to contribute more. My husband makes well more than me, and I didn't like that feeling. I've always been a really independent person, and I wanted to be able to contribute more to our household by just being able to cover our groceries for the week. Those were my small goals getting started, but you have to think about what that looks like for you. So while my goals over 3+ years have really changed, I'm now easily able to cover our grocery bill. I now am able to pay for our utility bills, or once we have children, I want to be able to pay for our daycare, things like that. So it has to be what life-changing means to you. And this is not something that's going to you instantly make thousands of dollars, right? And income disclaimer, Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success. It is all based on your hard work and skills and time that you put into it. But if you give it that time, if you give it those hours of consistency, it can build into a really sustainable business, but it all is based on what your goals are and the amount of work that you're willing to put into it. So on a very high level overview, I guess, is that you earn commission from this. It is very sales based, but we are not focusing on the sales aspect of it. It is social sharing where you are showing up on social media. It's just like if you showed up and shared your favorite Starbucks drink, right? You're showing up and sharing what you're truly passionate about, what's been working for you. So yes, you do earn a commission. It's roughly about 25-ish% depending on the products, depending on what it is, but you have to think of what your goals are. And what we like to say is the first goal is for you to help 3 people a month. We break it down more into people rather than the numbers, because what that goal does for you is helps cover your cost, right? So your cost, your startup fee is only the products that you are consuming. So your shakes, your workouts, all of that. And that's why we say you want to help 3 people a month, because that's going to cover your costs. Nobody wants to do this as a business and be negative, right? You want to be in here to at least break even and then build a business upon that where you're making a profit. So we say to help 3 people a month so that you're covering your initial costs, what you're drinking each month. But know that there are different bonuses. I'm not going to go into the details of that because it is a little confusing, to be honest, but there's different bonuses, there's different opportunities, but the number one thing is, what does life-changing mean to you, right? If you're working for that 1% raise and you know that that's all that you're going to earn this week or this year, how can that be different? What could a side income mean for you? Does it just mean that you go and get your hair done? Does it mean that you go get your nails done? Does it mean that you're able to maybe get the big bag of dog food? So focus on those things, and that will allow you to grow over time and change over time. But know that the possibilities are there, and know that this really can be whatever you want it to be. But I know I went through that quickly. As always, if you have any questions at all, let us know. But if you are truly looking for a sign, if you are looking for something that can change your life, if you are willing to get a little bit uncomfortable and grow and get out of that comfort zone, consider this your sign. Consider this the opportunity that you've been looking for, because at the end of the day, what's the worst thing that can happen? If you decide to go all in, if you decide to focus on yourself and your health, right? What's the worst that can happen? You become a little bit more of a priority in your life. And I think that gets lost because we look at this and we think it's a business and then we've got to do all these things. At the end of the day, you are your number one priority in this business. And what other business can say that? I know I don't have that in my full-time job, that we aren't necessarily always a priority. And it's something like this, like coaching, that I needed to realize that it was okay to be that priority. But again, if you have any questions at all, let me know below, comment them here. But thank you so much for being here, and we will talk to you later.